Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We're taking a break from the Camelback drill press project today. We're actually going to do some tin bending. The noise you're hearing in the background is my trusty porta-cool. We've reached that time of year where it's time to break it out and start cooling. Shop got up to 90 degrees today, so I cleaned the inside of that out, got the hose hooked up, power hooked up, and we got cool air blowing out of the grill there. Anyway, my pal Larry crunched the front end of his Ford NAA. And so what I'm going to attempt to do is straighten it back out. This is going to be kind of interesting. I haven't done anything like this in a long time, so let's see if I remember some of the tips and tricks. We've got a shape here that I've got to maintain all the way up to here. So, got a big dent to pound out. I'm probably going to use some heat and a cold wet rag to do some shrinking because this metal has stretched quite a bit being shoved in that far. And so we're going to try and reclaim the shape. This body line right here, there's a flange on the inside that's all spot welded together. So I think what I'm going to do to keep this from being so unwieldy is I'm going to drill out those spot welds and separate these two pieces so I got a more manageable piece to work with here. So, let me set up, we'll get started. I'm going to be channeling my inner Arco on this project because he's, automotive tin bender, does all kinds of wild and wacky and beautiful stuff. Me, I never had an automotive background in sheet metal. It was HVAC, architectural, and marine. But hey, sheet metal is sheet metal. Behaves the same way no matter what application you're using it in. I've got this blocked in the back with a heavy chunk of steel and a block of wood, and then I've got a modified little 3-inch C-clamp here. Got some angle iron welded on there to help stabilize this on the welding table and not crunch any more sheet metal that's already been crunched. So I'm going to get the angle roll lock out, and I'm going to grind all this paint off of here and reveal where the spot welds are, and we'll get them drilled out. That cleaned up reasonably well. Highlighted where all the spot welds are, or most of them anyway. So I'm going to drill out, start drilling those. My weapons of choice were my McGraw from Harbor Freight 90-degree die grinder and a Benchmark Abrasives 2-inch roll-lock ceramic disc. I really like these. These chew off paint like you wouldn't believe. Great for rough work. And where I couldn't quite reach with the roll-lock, I finished it off with my Harbor Freight Central Pneumatic little mini belt sander here. Got into the tight corners I couldn't quite get that 2-inch roll-lock into. So I'll get a drill out and start drilling out those spot welds and bring you back. Since I'm drilling at somewhat of an angle, I'm going to clamp this piece of 1/4-inch flat bar here so the drill doesn't drift because I'm coming in at an angle. And I'm going to clamp it with these Blue Point extended C-clamps. And on the back side, I've got a little piece of copper I'm going to put between the sheet metal and the clamp so I don't create another dent. Okay, these pieces are now separated. That took some time. finding all those little spot welds, but it didn't look too bad. Sorry, glare. Yeah, now that may look ugly and bent and everything else right now, but remember, it's only sheet metal. A little hammer and dolly work and it'll be just fine. So I think I'll start by working this crease and the back side of this big dent simultaneously. Try and move things this way. And then once I get some of that worked out, I'll reassess which way to go. I have not ruled out trying Fitzy's Fabrications cut and butt method. I may give that a try. We'll just see how this all works out. This is an old cold chisel that I've rounded the end and corners off of. So it won't cut anymore, but it makes a great tool for pounding out dents, getting into creases, that kind of thing. I'm making slow progress. I've got two creases, one up, one down, side by side, that I'm gingerly trying to work out. So you can see I've used some heat on here, and it's going slow, but they are coming out. I just got to be really careful not to make the kink or the crease worse. So I'm gonna keep working it with hammer and dolly and heat, and see if I can get that worked all the way out. Gingerly working these creases back and forth. I don't want them to fold in on each other. And this one's slowly giving. I'm going to put some more heat on here and then douse it with a wet rag to get some of this metal to shrink up. It is stretched. This is my shop-built torch holder. It's mounted on a standard roller stand like you use with a table saw. I just took the roller head off and I made this one for holding a torch, and just, you know, screwed it on where the roller normally goes. So as I'm working the torch, you know, and I don't want to shut it off each time because I'm going back and forth fairly quickly, I can just set it in this holder, you know, because laying a torch down is a pain in the neck, you know, and you don't want flame going everywhere for obvious reasons. So yeah, this works really good. I just set it in here. I can direct the flame away from all flammable stuff, and I can go about my business. Just want to get that up to cherry red. going to just heat the center. Still pretty good dent there. I'm going to heat the center. Then I'm going to douse that with a nice, with a wet rag. Trying to shrink that big dent up a little bit. Okay, pretty much eliminated that double crease that was right there. So now I'm going to flip this thing over and put more heat on it and start working that dent out from the back side. It's shrunk up a little bit, but I need to do some hammering on it. Well, it may not look like much yet, but I've eliminated those two creases here. And now I'm slowly moving metal that way, heating, hammering, cooling it with water to shrink up the excess. And then, so I'm just going to keep working this back and forth. Then I'll bring you back when most of this is gone. And then we got to start working on all these other creases here. And this needs, oh, sorry, you can't see that. Crappy camera work. This right here has got to move down. And I'm still bringing this up. So there's a lot of shrinking left to do. So it's just going to be back and forth with the torch and the hammer and the wet rag to eliminate the dents and the creases and shrink up the metal where it's stretched so bad. Sometimes you got to wrestle a monkey when you're pounding on this stuff. You need 3 hands. But anyway, I should have got my clamping sawhorse out and held this thing. Would have made it easier than trying to tuck it under my arm. But you can see now we're getting close. This is just about gone. A little low spot there, a little high spot here on the crease. But as I'm hammering this, I'm feeling it start to oil can a little bit, you know, pop in and out, which means I got to shrink this some more. So I'm going to put some more heat on it, and you've already seen enough of that in this video, so I'll do that off camera. I'll put some more heat in it, cool it with a rag, and then just do more hammer work. But we're really getting close. We're still a little low here, it's still a little high here, but we're getting it, slow but sure. I'm sitting here working on this and heating it and smoking up the shop, and then realizing I forgot a basic step, which is strip the paint off first. Yeah, well, like I said, it's been a long while since I've done anything like this. Anyway, got this high spot right here that needs to move over into this low spot right here, which is what we've been working on. So I'm going to keep heating this, hitting it with a cold wet rag, trying to shrink that a little bit, and alternate heat, hammer, heat, shrink. Get this down, move over here a little bit, and then I'll start working on some of the small dents here and there. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's going on an old tractor. It's not restored. But, you know, I want all this little stuff here, clean it up as best I can. You know, I've got some stuff down here, got some dents here I'll probably work out. And then once I'm satisfied that it's reasonably straight, I'll probably give it a skim coat of filler, sand that, hit it with some self-leveling primer, and give it back to Larry. Well, I made one heck of a mess. But this is turning out pretty good. I still got this dent here to take care of. The main culprit up here, the real bad one, I do believe we've got that pretty straight. There was a big bubble before. So now I still have to do some dolly work over it because there are some light, low, and high spots. But for the most part, got that all worked out. Okay, I'm going to strip the rest of the paint off of this and go over the area we worked over with heat and hammer. And then I'm going to use Arco's favorite body filler and touch up the rough spots with filler, get that sanded off, and then I'm going to hit the whole thing with some filler primer. And then we'll clean off these flanges with the die grinder, a little, you know, hammer and dolly work, and then we will spot weld those back onto the main part of the hood. All right, this is all stripped down. There's some highs and there's some lows here and there. And I could keep going with the heat and body hammer and dollies, but that's wearing me out. And I don't have a planishing hammer. If I had a planishing hammer, I'd probably work this over a little bit more. But since the tractor it's going on is, you know, not a restored beauty, it's just a, you know, an old work tractor, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe this down with mineral spirits, and then I'm going to shoot it with a light coat of primer just to help highlight where the highs and lows are. And then I'll get the body filler and work it over with that, and then sand that smooth, and then hit it with another coat of primer, and we'll call it good. As you can see, we've got quite a few imperfections in here, which the filler will take care of. But considering how bad this thing was, how crunched it was, I mean, a little patience and heat, shrinking, and hammering with dolly, this, I think this turned out overall pretty doggone good. There's a few dents, you can see them. But not nearly as crunched as it was. So I'll mix up some filler. We'll start working this over and sanding it until we get it reasonably smooth. Like I say, this isn't a show vehicle. It's just an old tractor. But for those of you, you know, that are fairly new to metalworking, you don't need a whole lot of stuff. A couple of basic Barty hammers and some dollies from Harbor Freight. And with patience, you can take something that's pretty crunched and straighten it out reasonably well, which is what I'm demonstrating here. I'm no body man, I'm just a tin bender, but I know enough basics where we can make something that was really crunched look presentable. So with that, I'm going to start mixing up some filler, and we'll start applying it. So the instructions say to stir the contents of the can and then knead the tube of hardener. 3-inch bottle of filler, 3-inch long line of hardener. Mix the two together to a uniform color, and then you only got 3 or 4 minutes to put it on before it becomes unpliable. Got a lot of scratches along here, so I'm going to do this area first. Instructions say this is sandable within 20 or 25 minutes. I don't have a DA, so I'm going to be doing a lot of this probably with a little Makita palm sander and hand block probably. Well, they weren't kidding. This stuff is already starting to set up. So I'm going to have to work really fast here. Well, like I said earlier, I am no body man. So I'm going to have some sanding to do, but that should fill in the low spots and the scratches good enough. And if I have to, after I sand this off, I might have to put a second coat on it. But you get the idea what's going on here. I'll bring you back when I'm ready to start putting paint on this thing. Well, this turned out pretty good. I went around with the Sharpie and highlighted some low spots. They may not show up very well here, but I will mix up a little more filler and touch those up. And then as far as the scratches and stuff, I mean, I used 80 grit on a palm sander to take most of this down. As far as the scratches, I'm not going to worry about those because the filler primer will fill in most of those. And yeah, so I'm going to touch up those spots I've got circled, resand it, hit it with a fresh coat of primer, and then we will start reassembling this to the main hood. Well, this is where the fun begins. I've got to keep this body line lined up here, and I'll be clamping and plug welding as I go to work this back into place. I'm going to be backing up the through holes with a piece of copper, so when I plug weld, I'll have copper behind there and make it easier to weld that up. This is going to be a bit of a challenge because as I work this way, I've got to work this in. And then this piece is bent. I've got to hammer that back into place and try to weld up that big gap. So I'll get you in a tripod and we'll start putting this thing back together. Fire in the hole. So the body line looks really good. I got some Gorilla Globs that I'm going to clean up with a roll-lock disc, but by and large, I'm happy with the way this turned out. So I'll clean this up, and we'll finish up. Well, that wraps that up. I've been talking on this channel forever that I'm a tin bender. But you never really seen me do any sheet metal work. So here we did some. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this project. I should probably do some more sheet metal stuff. You know, I use the term tin bending. I mean, they always referred to us as tin benders or tinnies, you know, back when I was in the trade. But actually, tin bending is a whole different deal than sheet metal work. If you've ever visited the colonial villages back east in museums and all of that, where they actually have a tin shop where they go in and they make beautiful home fixtures, kitchen utensils, pitchers, all that kind of stuff out of tin. They're tinsmiths. Well, this isn't tinsmithing or tin bending. This is sheet metal. So there, for what that's worth. I've got to get this back to Larry. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to film putting it back on the tractor, coordinating schedules and all of that. I've got a lot going on this week. Plus, I got a big project for Nancy I've got to get back on and finish. So maybe down the road here in the real distant future, I'll get a few shots of it back on the tractor. But at any rate, I'm happy with the way it turned out. It's not perfect, but for considering what it was, just torch, hammer, and dolly, no other tools other than a spoof can. I'm happy with the way it turned out. And, yeah, I had to use some body filler. And if I had a planishing hammer and a couple other tools in the hoard, I could probably made that sheet metal perfect, but you're talking hours and hours. I think I got 6 hours total in this whole project spread over 2 or 3 days. So with that, new subscribers, welcome. Glad you're here. Existing subscribers, as always, thanks for sticking around. And I'm going to sign off right here. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you soon as we get started again on the Camelback Drill Press project. Bye now.